I watched 3 new films centered around darker aspects of motherhood. If I Had Legs I'd Kick You, Hamnet, and Die My Love. I watched them over a 2-day period and didn't watch other movies in between, themed film festival style. I'll start with If I Had Legs I'd Kick You, directed and written by Mary Bronstein, and starring Rose Byrne, Conan O'Brien, and A$AP Rocky. Rose Byrne plays Linda, a mother caring for her ill daughter. This movie was bracing to watch and made me feel not great during and after it. Rose Byrne gives an amazing performance. The movie and the camera work are very much anchored onto her, as she is in basically every scene and a lot of close-ups are employed. I've seen people discussing if some things in the film were actually happening or if they're just in Linda's head. But for me, I wasn't very concerned with that aspect, and just accepted that her reality was the reality of the film, and was able to go along with the experience of the movie in that way. It has some amazing utilizations of visuals and sound effects which really set this movie apart for me. The images and sounds used are very intentional, which amplifies their effectiveness. It's an excellently constructed movie. It has some horror elements which work well, and overall, with the upsetting subject matter and the experience of going along with this character, I would describe If I Had Legs I'd Kick You as both oppressive and otherworldly. It communicates feelings of dread, and an enveloping existential threat and fear of shrinking and disappearing. I also appreciated the effective allusions in the film. Some have pointed out the comedic elements in this movie, but I will say that I perceived only a little comedy in it personally. To shout out some other actors in this, I thought Conan O'Brien was great in his part, and Danielle MacDonald was compelling to me as well. I found that this movie has some atmospheric similarities to A Different Man starring Sebastian Stan, which is excellent if you haven't seen that, and it was very similar in feeling and themes to Kotoko, directed by Shinya Tsukamoto, which is amazing, expertly portraying psychological overwhelm in motherhood that the character experiences. If I Had Legs I'd Kick You does that as well. There are a couple unique and kind of horror-forward scenes that I thought were interesting, and the overall oppressive atmosphere that the film conveys throughout its runtime is very well executed. This movie was great, and it made me feel horrible. If I could choose who to give this year's Best Actress Academy Award to, I would choose Rose Byrne. But Jessie Buckley, the star of Hamnet, which I'll talk about now, is a good candidate as well, as the film includes some extremely effective scenes from her. It was directed by Chloé Zhao and adapted from Maggie O'Farrell's novel. It's an interpretation of William Shakespeare's family, focusing on his wife Agnes, who is played by Buckley in the film. You've probably heard that Buckley is acclaimed for this one, and is on track to win Best Actress at the Academy Awards. I'll say that there are great performances from everyone in Hamnet, specifically Buckley, Paul Mescal, and Jacoby and Noah Jupe. I liked how sustained shots were used, where the performers had to act for a long time or say long lines of dialogue without any cuts. I think that really allowed them to show some skill, and also that's just a filmmaking technique I like in general, holding the viewers stationary while we observe. I really liked those scenes, and also all the wide shots. It uses some interesting imagery, but I think maybe they could have further demonstrated some of the meanings behind the images within the text, just to make them a little more impactful. But I can forgive this aspect. One problem I had with this movie is that it stayed on the same emotional wavelength for the majority of the runtime. I was taking in what was happening, and also the beautiful cinematography by Lucas Zhao, but at a certain point I was thinking I needed the ending to pay off for the movie to be worth it. And from what I had heard about Hamnet, I was able to hold out hope for that, and it didn't disappoint. I had lightly cried at a couple points throughout the movie, and then the ending made me cry a lot in the theater. One thing I wish is that they did not use a musical composition from Max Richter that I've heard in other movies. I wish that they composed a new one, because hearing this recognizable piece really took me out of the movie. But beyond that, what the film is saying at the end really moved me. The emotions of the text, but also what it's saying about the power of art and community. As a movie enthusiast, it really worked for me. Last is Die My Love. This is directed by Lynne Ramsay and stars Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson. Kind of embarrassingly, I haven't seen any other Lynne Ramsay movies besides this one, so I should definitely check those out, and I might like those better than I liked this. It follows a couple who have a baby and move into an old family home in an isolated forest area, which mirrors how motherhood isolates Lawrence's character, and the setting perpetuates the problems that present themselves as she is trapped there. She used to be a writer, but now finds herself unable to write post-baby. She can't integrate both versions of herself. This theme is also explored through a character played by Sissy Spacek, who struggles with identity, so Spacek and Lawrence are kind of parallel to each other. It utilizes some symbolism, which I appreciated, and there are also a couple of scenes that portray a sense of overstimulation, and I thought those were done well. The film has several scenes involving music and dancing, but I never felt particularly connected to those. It also chooses to have characters display primal behaviors and feelings, a feral energy, but these parts of the actors' performances didn't always work for me. I think these scenes were too frequent and evenly spread out through the movie for them to really impact me. They became the scenery, and not special or unique. It does have some interesting technical elements, like the camera lenses used to affect the focus of shots. Like sometimes the edges of shots had a blurry effect, and I thought that was pretty cool. Some of the types of shots were well chosen, like using some effective close-ups or moving handheld. I also thought there were some scenes with effective editing. However, the noteworthy technical elements just aren't enough to save Die My Love from the fact that the text just isn't very compelling to me. It did make me feel uncomfortable, sure, which is the point, conveying an uncomfortable kind of numbness. But I want a movie like this to make me feel both uncomfortable and compelled by that discomfort. I think the length also dulled the movie for me. It was maybe a little too long for the good technical elements to carry a not very well executed subject matter. By the end, my response was just a feeling of whatever, and not really caring, and the movie kind of annoyed me. It was upsetting, but not satisfying. It's not for me. It reminded me of the short story The Yellow Wallpaper, which I think is a much better execution of this type of subject matter. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed my musings on these Troubled Mothers movies. Give the video a like, subscribe for more from me, and check out this video for some horror recommendations, and I'll see you next time.